Okay, I'm back. Okay, now some child is I don't know. They don't sound like they're in distress, but sounds like they're having a good time. Anyway, I think they're okay. So if it's not the engines, it's a child. But okay, we make allowances for the child, right? You know, as I come back, I have to say, after that brief powder room interlude, let's put it like that. I have to say, we get some of our most interesting ideas when we're seated on the throne, so to speak. I was just thinking, how would a Trini summarize what happened with what their name? Nadab and Abihu. They have odd names anyway. Well, not odd, but by Bible standards. So anyway, for some reason I can't seem to remember that. Nadab and Abihu. How would a Trini summarize what happened to them? I think a Trini would say, boy, man, I set that flambeau jump up, I set that flambeau jump out, and yam down them fella and them. I think that's how a Trini would put it, like a set of torches jumped out and ate up those guys. I think that's how we would put it. I really love Trini talk. I love English Creole because it's just so graphic and so dramatic. I mean, it's perfect for storytelling. But I think that's how a Trini would have put that, probably. I don't know. Trini's out there. Tell me how you would have summarized what happened to Nadab and Abihu. Anyhow, moving right along, and as I had mentioned, I'm doing Leviticus chapter 10. I'm now doing the next not little paragraph, now it's a big paragraph from verse 12 to verse 15. It's quite long. Hold on a sec. Is it, I think it's one. Yes, it is one paragraph. Okay, one paragraph. All right, so let's go. I'm almost done, but talking and doing this at the same time is a little challenging. I'm not doing too badly. My handwriting is pretty neat, right? And to be honest, my natural handwriting is not very, very neat. It's very scrappy. But I know how to write in such a way that my handwriting looks neat, and I thank God for that. I think God has just given me the grace to do that. But anyway, I think when I was growing up, I tended to copy my sister's handwriting. We all have handwriting that looks similar, I must admit. But I think my actual handwriting is pretty scrappy. You don't want to see what my handwriting looks like. You can always tell in my Bible noodle and doodling notebooks and jottings when I was starting to get tired. Because then my handwriting starts looking a little bit more like the scrappy reality that it actually is, Anyway, let me keep going here. So I'm at verse 12, 10, verse 10, 10, 12, right? So what I do is I just put I put the verse, the chapter and the verse in the margin so that when I'm reviewing, I can kind of get a sense of where I am. And I try to make, something that I started doing recently, I must say, is trying to make the numericals in the margins look a little fancy where I can. And, little swirls and so on here and there. Just try to do something interesting. And sometimes I put doodles in the margins. I must admit, I have been forgetting to put doodles as I'm talking to you because I'm so focused on talking and writing at the same time. But let me read for you what I've started writing here, which is verse 12. Right, just a car passing by. I have no idea why people like cars with loud engines. I know that's a guy thing, and I guess it's, the masculine kind of, I don't know, the masculine kind of side. How else should I describe it? What word can I put to that? The masculine need for, I don't know, something, what would you call that? Something kind of gruff and aggressive, but I can't lie. It really takes away from my enjoyment of the peace and quiet in the neighborhood. And like I said, I'm sensitive to noise now, more and more sensitive to, peace being disturbed. Anyway, I'm not hearing the birds. I hope they come back. I was really enjoying the birds twittering and tweeting. They seem to like the plants on my neighbor's porch, because where I'm sitting, I can look out and see my neighbor's porch. Oh, I just saw a bird fly by there, but where I am, I can see my neighbor's porch, and I know the birds like romping around in their plants for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's a type of plants. Anyway, let me keep going here. Then Moses, so this is verse 12, chapter 10 of Leviticus, a very meaty book to tackle. Some things I feel like I'm getting, and some things, I'll be honest, I'm still lost, right? But I figure at least I'm reading the book. This is a book that I've been avoiding for decades. And here's the thing. Everything in God's word is designed to be devoured and digested. Everything in God's word is there for a reason. So if you're like me and you've been ducking Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy and portions of Exodus, I totally get it. But here's the thing. In our time, we have the wonderful benefits of social media and all the Bible teachers and scholars on social media who can break these things down for us. So it's not like decades ago where you're completely in the deep end by yourself. Now you can get help online. So I don't think we have any excuse for avoiding these books anymore, right? So let me keep going. So verse 12, then Moses said to Aaron and his remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, take what is left of the grain offering after a portion has been presented as a special gift to the Lord, and eat it beside the altar. Make sure it contains no yeast or yeast. I don't know, how do you pronounce it? Yeast or yeast. Make sure it contains no yeast or yeast, for it is holy. Now, I could only imagine, it's always good to, this is one of the things I learned from the church that I spent most of my life at, to be honest. One of the things I learned is that it's really good to try to bring what's happening down into real life. Like the Bible leaves a lot of gaps to fill in, leaves a lot of gaps for your imagination to fill in. What I love about that is you can fill in those gaps culturally. So for example, when I was following Freddie DeAnder, what I loved was that he would use the scriptures, he would interpret the scriptures, but apply a Latin American twist to things. So he talked about the tacos and the pork and the shredded pork. I don't know, maybe not shredded pork, but he was always talking about tacos and all, adding like Mexican culinary vibes to his interpretation of the scriptures, which is always entertaining, right? So you could do that from any cultural perspective, which I love. So I'm just thinking about what's going on here, with Moses. And I think from a Trini perspective, I think Moses would be like, all your partner trying to hold it down here, people, I think he would have been feeling like that on the inside. That's maybe how he would have put it. People, I'm trying to hold it down. I'm trying to keep my emotions in check. But honestly, I'm ready to rip up the place. I'm ready to tear the place apart. I'm so vexed here. And to tell them, just do it how God said to do it, and everything will be nice, everything will fall in place, everything will be where it's supposed to be. God, I go get vexed with me. I think that's probably how Moses might have been feeling. Didn't I tell you to do everything the way God said to do it according to spec, or else you would die? Didn't I warn you? He might have been feeling like that on some level. And on another level, he might have really been mourning the loss of these two of Nadab. Is it Nadab and Abihu? Yes, Nadab. Anyway, let me keep going. You see, I'm a talker, right? So let me keep going here. Okay, then Moses said to Aaron and his remaining sons, so I'm writing here, Eliezer, Eliezer, and Ithamar. Take what is left. Take what is left of the grain offering after the portion has been presented as a special gift. I thought this was interesting. You see this in the first section of Leviticus, talking about offering gifts to God, and I thought it's so interesting that you can offer gifts to God, that God who has everything, you can still offer him gifts. That's interesting. And eat it beside the altar. Beside. Could you imagine how surreal this must have felt? It's like, okay, two people just got devoured by fire. All the people were probably like, we're ready to go home now. we're ready to go home. Are you ready to go home? That's from a soca tune, right, in Trinidad. But I'm pretty sure everybody was ready to dust it, to bust it, to find the tail somewhere else but right where they was, right? Anywhere else but they, right? Anywhere else but there. So, boy, I tell you, I'm so glad that I was not born in ancient times in Israel or anywhere else. I mean, these times are bad enough. We live in very dark times. I mean, the end times are dark times. And still, I think I prefer to be born in this time. Make sure it contains no yeast. No yeast. Trouble with these beans again. Where it is most holy. By the way, I don't do like live videos and things like that because honestly, I don't have the setup. I don't have the equipment. So I just do what I humanly can. I hope that you guys still enjoy it anyway. Hopefully the illustrations make up for that. Hopefully the illustrations help make up for the lack of actual video content. But this is the best that I can do until I can do better, right? I'm a one lady show, so I really do everything myself. I have 2 YouTube channels, one for kids, that's in my name, Nanika Edwards. And then I have the channel that this would be on, Big People Talk. And I also have an IG page and LinkedIn page and Facebook page. I'm on TikTok. I have no idea how to get back into TikTok. And let me tell you, I just do what I humanly can. And I don't always even feel I can keep up with everything. So I just put things up when I can. But there's so much quality content to explore. I hope that people will take the time to go through my playlist section and see what's there and what catches your fancy and so on. But anyway, back to the study. I don't know, I was actually sitting outside this morning recording the bird song, like just sitting on the porch and hitting the record button on my cell phone to record the birds chirping because I love the bird song. And as I came inside, I thought, wait a minute, why don't I just record myself as I'm going through my Bible study so that people can get an idea of how I think, how I process things while I'm studying. Now, I have to admit, this is kind of different with Leviticus because it's not an easy book to process. But I just thought it'd be a nice way to invite people into these moments. And to be honest, this sometimes is exactly what I do when I'm doing my Bible noodling. I would be talking to God throughout, asking questions, talking as if God is sitting right next to me, because in a sense he is. and just have these conversations. And the interesting thing is, believe it or not, folks, God does very often talk back. Like when I ask questions, sometimes He answers right in the moment. Sometimes not, but sometimes I get a response right in the moment. So it's always fun to do this. Sometimes I might not be in the mood to talk. That's a rare thing. I bet you could guess that already. But sometimes I'm not in the mood to talk, and I would just be writing things down. And right now, I want to put in an illustration because I try to break up when I have a lot of text, and I have a couple pages of text here. I like to break it up with an illustration. We just spoke about a grain offering being presented as a special gift. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a square. I'm going to draw a square, leave a little space on top for a bow. I make a square. This is going to be a gift box, right? If you can imagine this, right? I know you can't see it. Well, at least not, well, I guess when I put this together as a video, you'll see it. But I'm going to put a bowl of the grain offering. I'm just going to put a bowl. I put a U shape, a wide U shape. I close the top, and then I make a lovely little bottom piece, right? And then I just make it a little decorative. I just decorate it. Usually I put flowers, okay, because I'm a lady. I must admit, I'm one of those ladies who likes flowers. I'm assuming that most ladies like flowers, and I guess if you're a guy, you can like flowers too. It doesn't mean you can't like flowers, but I know it's a ladies thing. And I put a bowl. I put some curved lines on top to represent the flower, piled up in the bowl. And I'm going to put some lines representing that it's a gift box and it's closed. Then I'm going to put a little bow, so a heart shape on top, and then a lovely curved line. Curves are very friendly, and I'm a very friendly person, so I use a lot of curves in my artwork, and that's it. The illustration is done. So that breaks up the text, and it also gives me a visual marker. So when I'm reviewing Leviticus, I'll have a sense of what's where, right? So I know this is definitely the part where the grain offering is being offered up to the Lord. I might have, if I had a little more time and a little more ink, I might have put in a stalk of wheat or something, but I'm going to leave it as it is because I want to keep going or else this will be too long. So I'm moving on to a new section of my notebook. I don't have a lot of paper left. I eat through paper here like termites eat through wood. I go through pens like termites go through wood. So I'm going to be needing to be getting some new pens and notebooks pretty soon. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay, so we're at verse 13 of chapter 10 of Leviticus. You must eat it in a sacred place, for it has been given to you and your descendants as your portion of the special gifts presented to the Lord. Okay, guess what? I didn't understand a thing I read because I was reading without thinking. So let me read that again. You must eat it in a sacred place, for it has been given to you and your descendants as your portion of the special gifts presented to the Lord. These are the commands I have been given. Okay, so right, so Moses is communicating the commands that he's been given, right? So now it's verse 13, but I'm not putting the chapter and the verse separate here. I'm just continuing. I insert the verse numerical in the verse. I only put it in the margins when it's usually when it's the start of that verse, right? When it's the start of a new section. So you must eat. And I don't usually break up the sections, but I just did so that I could break up the text. I realized I had a lot of text going on. You must eat it in a sacred place, for it has been, and I've got my fingers to mark the spot as I go along, for it has been given to you. And I add a heart to given, and I make the V kind of umbrella, the letter E. So it looks like beautiful calligraphy, and it also gives a sense of somebody being taken care of or being given something special. So I kind of work that into the calligraphy. For it has been given to you and your descendants and your descendants as your portion, as your portion of the special gifts of the special, and I put a heart over the I on special, of your special gifts, and I put a heart over the I in gifts. So the special gifts presented, I forgot to overlap to make the R go over the E in presented, but that's okay. Presented to the Lord. And no, I've never taken calligraphy classes or anything. I just kind of do my own thing. But I think God has just put a knowing inside of me, and some things I just know how to do. I just instinctively know, and I really thank God for that. I cannot take credit. God has just put a knowing inside of me. I think what I could take credit for is a hard work that goes into practicing and just, just faithfully investing my talent, because as we say in Trinidad, it takes two hands to clap. I don't know if we're the only ones to say that, but it takes. I started when I started talking. It takes two hands to clap. So here we see the generosity of God. You hear that bird? Bird watchers out there, can you identify that bird? I wish I could identify the birds by their call, but there's only one that I can't. That's a cascade, but the others I can't. Okay. I'm gonna finish up quick here because I'm not gonna have a lot of solitude for much longer. So, with the breast, I'm on to verse 14. But the breast and thigh that were lifted up as a special offering may be eaten in any place that is ceremonially clean. These parts have been given to you and your descendants as your portion of the peace offerings presented by the people of Israel. Okay, so we're on to the breast, which must have something to do with the heart. I'm pretty sure that's why the breast is important here and in previous chapters, one or two previous chapters, right? I'm sure the breast, it's important because our heart is important to God. We're supposed to give our heart to God, our thoughts, our motives, our feelings, our emotional life. They're all supposed to be rendered, submitted to God. Anyway, let me write this out. The dogs decided they need to bark. I mean, somebody's probably walking in the street and they're not happy about it because for some reason the dogs think that they own the street. Well, the breast and the thigh. Now, the thigh, I feel that had something to do with circumcision, the thigh. I don't know, I could be wrong. That's just my guess. Even just writing the word as is kind of challenging for me because like I mentioned, I'm very lazy about writing the letter A. I mean the common A. And I'm kind of lazy about that too. It always takes a little extra finger work and mental effort for me to remember or make the effort to write the A properly. Okay, that is ceremonially clean. These parts. What I don't like about the dogs barking is I think they scare the birds, so the birds will stop singing for a while. Sometimes I actually like to Like if you have leftover sweet bread. Sweet bread is like a cross between cake and bread, right? It's nice. I mean, I don't love it, but it's okay. I eat sweet bread. But like if we have leftover sweet bread or bread in the fridge, sometimes I would, not often, but sometimes I would, not as often as I would like, but sometimes I would throw out pieces of bread for the birds. I love watching them eat it up. I've been doing things like that since I was a little girl. I just like seeing the birds eating the bread. It makes me happy. Um, these parts have been given to you. And here we see God's generosity, I think. It's not like all these rituals, in all these rituals, God is so self-absorbed, which he isn't, by the way. He's not self-absorbed, but it's, oh gosh, how am I fitting descendants here? I hope it could fit. Let me see if I can squeeze it in. Descendants. Descend. This is at the edge of the page. Okay, descendants, it fit. Yeah, God is not self-absorbed, but we see in the fact that he has portions that he shares with the priests, and there are times when he says, okay, if you don't have your own herds, or you cannot afford to get a specific kind of bird or a specific kind of animal, you're free to get another kind of animal to offer to God. So God is very flexible and very accommodating, I think. People act as though God is so restrictive, but he is so generous. And I think that a lot of times people miss that. Even if you think of the Garden of Eden, and he said, of all the trees, can you imagine how many trees were in that garden? Of all the trees you can eat, there's just one you can't eat from, Adam and Eve. There was just one tree, and people act as though, oh my gosh, God is so restrictive, and my gosh, if I give my heart to God, I won't be able to do this, and I won't be able to do that. That is just a very well-spun lie of the enemy, I think. God is so generous. He's so generous. He's a friend you've always wanted to have, or the kind of parent you would have always wanted to have. That's what God is like. So generous, so easygoing in a lot of ways, but also very holy. So there are two sides to him. He can be very chill and very easygoing, but on the other hand, like I said, like they say in the Chronicles of Narnia, he's not a tame lion, He's not a tame lion. Anyway, I'm at verse 15. So let me read this. You must lift up the thigh and breast as a special offering to the Lord. And I guess it's a special offering to the Lord because it's the thigh and the breast. So the breast connected to our heart, and then the thigh, I think, is probably connected to circumcision and the cutting off of the flesh, the cutting off of our carnal nature. Okay, so I'm writing this out. You must lift up the thigh and breast as a special offering to the Lord, along with the fat of the special gifts. I have to admit, the fat aspect of all of this, fat is mentioned many times when these rituals are described. And I have to admit, I'm not too sure what the fat is about, but anyway, it keeps coming up. They're not supposed to eat fat, but they can offer it to the Lord, right? So I'm not too sure how to make sense of that, but maybe eventually I will. And finally, the last part of verse 15 says, these parts will belong to you and your descendants as your permanent right, just as the Lord has commanded. So let me write that out. You must lift up the thigh. You must lift up the thigh. I'm writing a little faster now because I'm anticipating that I'm not going to have a lot of solitude here too much longer. I'm expecting the person I live with to come home pretty soon, and that's my mom. And when she comes home, the radio is going to go on, and there will be no more peace and solitude, and I will not be able to finish this off. So I'm really kind of rushing now. Haste makes waste, as my aunt likes to say, or as the Bible says, what is it? Oh my gosh, how does it go? He who hastens, oh my gosh, I forget what it is. It's in Proverbs somewhere, but it's basically saying he hastens, he who hurries will make a lot of mistakes. Yeah. I've committed that to memory, so I'm surprised that it's kind of escaping me now, but I think it's because I'm writing, drawing, talking, and doing all of these things at the same time. I think, again, this is proof that you really can't multitask, right? Multitasking is a myth. Anyway, along with the the fact of the special gifts of the special, I put a heart over special, and over gifts, I'll put another heart. This is just to make the calligraphy interesting and also to remind me that those things are special, the gifts and the fact that they're special. These parts will belong to you and your descendants, and okay, let me see if I can squeeze in your here on the end. Your descendants, I do a lazy T, by the way. I only cross it on one side. Descendants as your permanent right. As your permanent right. Just as the Lord has commanded. Just, I put a heart on just to remind myself that doing things just as the Lord commands is important. Just as I always have to check to see if Lord is capitalized or not, because sometimes the whole word is capitalized and sometimes it isn't. And it took me a while to figure that out, by the way. Anyway, commanded. Okay, so that section is done. We have two more medium-sized section and then a short section to do, verses 16 to 20 of chapter 10. So let me go. Let's go. Now I'm going to leave a space because there is a space here where I can stick in an illustration. I'm going to turn the page. Again, I want to just break up the text and have some kind of illustration. And I'm going to put, this is the start of a new section. I'm putting the numericals. For, see these loud engines, they really bother me, like I said, but anyway. So, I'm putting in the numericals for, the new section, right? The chapter and the verse, right? The chapter and the verse in the margins. And let's go. Here's what it says, verse 16. Moses then asked them what had happened to the goat of the sin offering. When he discovered it had been burned up, he became very angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons. So when he found out that the goat had been burned up, now Moses is burning with anger, right? I mean, there's not a lot of compassion going around here, but anyway, he's burning with anger. Let me go through the whole thing so you hear what happened. Verse 17. Why, so this is Moses now, why didn't you eat the sin offering in the sacred area? He demanded. It is a holy offering. The Lord has given it to you to remove the guilt of the community and to purify the people, making them right with the Lord. And then verse 18, which is the end of this portion, since the animal's blood was not brought into the holy place, you should have eaten the meat in the sacred area as I ordered you. Now, notice no fire didn't come out and yam down Aaron, right? So, it didn't gobble him up. No fire came out and gobbled up Aaron. So, in the next section, we're going to find out how Aaron got away with something that is clearly annoying Moses. I mean, I can't lie. Aaron getting some serious jamming here. I mean, he just lost his two sons. Moses is buffing him in front of everybody. I mean, what man could really swallow that kind of bile, right? Swallow that kind of salt. I mean, is a whole sea of salt Aaron swallowing here. So I'll tell you in the next section, which is the conclusive section, how Aaron responds and why he got away. So, dun dun dun. Let me leave you in a little suspense for a while. So, verse 16, I'm going to start writing that out. Moses then asked them, so Moses is asking them, and in whatever translation of the Bible you have, you can, of course, be following along with me. It does not have to be the NLT. I like the NLT because the language is so natural. And I guess for me, part of the attraction of that is that I used to go to a church where the language was so sophisticated and the language was so academic. And even though I understood perfectly what was going on, there came a point where I just started tuning out because I just found it off-putting, right? And so I really love how natural and simple the language of the NLT is. It's just lovely. And I think even though it's simple language, I don't feel like the beauty of the word is diluted, so I like that. So sin offering, let me see if I could fit offering here at the end. My pages are serrated, right? So, and I have to stick in a little full stop too. My pages are serrated. They can be ripped out. So I really try hard not to go beyond the serrated edge. Because if for some reason I have to tear out the pages or they get torn out by mistake, I don't want any part of the word to be missing. When he discovered it had been burned up, when he discovered it had been burned up. Oh, this is what it was. It comes back to me. He sins who hastens with his feet. That's a quote from Proverbs. He sins who hastens with his feet. When you rush, you make more mistakes, which is kind of what's happening right now. But anyway, I have to rush. When he discovered it had been burned up, he became very angry. He became very angry. And next time I need to give you all the punctuation mark points so that if you're actually literally writing with me, you can actually get the punctuation marks correct. Anyway, he became very angry with Elisa and Ithamar. Could you imagine? Elisa and Ithamar must have been quaking in their boots when he got angry. Oh my God. To be honest, just memorizing all of the rituals and all of the details, I think would have been impossible homework for me. For the average person, I can't lie. The rituals were so involved and so detailed. But it just goes to prove that God likes things done in a particular way sometimes. Okay, verse 17. Why, this is Moses now, vex, blue vex, as we would say in Trinidad, blue mad vex, right? Why didn't you eat? I think they're all traumatized by this point. They're all traumatized by this point, having seen two people devoured by fire right there in front of them. Plus, all the thundering and lightning and rumbling on top of Mount Sinai, right? So these people are properly traumatized. But I think God was just letting them know, yes, I want you to come close, but just know I'm not a tame lion, right? Offer it in the sacred area, in the sacred area. Okay, I didn't do my A properly, so let me fix that. Area. Okay, question mark, closed quotation marks. He demanded. You see that word demanded? It means he was real vexed, right? He demanded. All right. Because remember, at the end of Exodus, Moses could not enter the tabernacle that they had just built to God's spec. And now God is making a way for them to re-enter his presence. They successfully enjoyed his presence as part of the ordination ceremony, and now God's angry again. So you can imagine how they're all on edge, right? So let me see. Of course, with the sacrifice that Jesus made on Calvary. We don't have to be on edge like this, but there is a sense in which the God back then is still the same today, and we still have to be so careful how we walk with God. Not that we have to be nibbling our nails all the time. I don't think God wants that. What parent wants their child to be nibbling their nails all the time? And if a parent is like that, something's wrong with them, right? They're dysfunctional. But God is not like that, but still, as the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe put it, he's not a tame lion, you know. Okay, so now I'm on to, right, 17, blah, blah, blah. He demanded, it is a holy offering. It is a holy offering. Exclamation mark. The Lord has given it to you. The Lord has given it to you to remove the guilt, to remove the guilt of the community, I guess Moses was vexed because he's thinking, were you people playing the fool? You don't know it's serious business going on here. And two, I think that's why Moses was vexed. After he went through all the trouble to show them exactly what to do, God's fire was still blazing, and he felt like, wait, y'all still didn't get the point. You're still doing dotishness. I think everybody was just on edge, right? Making them right. But it just goes to show as well that God is not a sloppy God. He expects things to be done in a particular way, right? Okay, and now I'm writing out verse 18. Oh my gosh, this 8 I just wrote there looks like it just came out of World War 21. Anyway, 18, since the animals blood. I tell you, this Leviticus not for the faint of heart, especially not the first part. If you don't like blood, I mean, just thank God you weren't born during the times of Leviticus. Anyway, since the animal's blood was not brought, oh my gosh, he sent who hastens with his feet. I can't tell you how crapo, my crapo foot right in here, as we say in Trinidad. Crapo means toad. Well, sometimes people say frog, but it's really toad in French. And crapo foot writing is, well, to use Bible language, is writing that don't look too righteous, right? It brought into the holy place. And I told you I would explain in the next section, or at least the Bible will explain in the next section, why fire didn't blaze out why fire come down to deal with Aaron here, right? Eating the meat. And by the way, I must say there's some things I find difficult to draw, to represent in a graphic illustration, like the breast and the thigh. Like, how am I supposed to represent that? I have no idea how to draw. Well, I think the thigh would be a drumstick, if I'm not mistaken. But the breast, how am I supposed to draw that? So you see, some things I will not draw because I don't know how to draw them in a simple way. And my art style is minimalist. So I tend to reduce things to very simple illustrations. Also, I definitely keep them simple for this Bible doodling and noodling because I'll leave in space here to draw Moses being angry, right? I could put that in after. The important thing is to get the text down. Yeah. So I'll draw Moses being angry, but it's easier for me to draw Moses being angry than the thigh of a chicken or some animal. So anyway, the final section here, it's pretty short, from verse 19 to verse 20. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 short lines. right? The half a column, one column of a page that's divided into two columns. So let me go. Verse 19. So this is chapter 10. And I'm going to try to make the 10. What I do is I make the 10 big. And I try to curve it a bit and make it look kind of special. And then I put the chapter 19 on the line above that. So just so it looks kind of interesting. And then let's go. So here's what it says. So this is the excuse or the justification that Aaron gave. He said, Then Aaron answered Moses. You can imagine Aaron. Oh my gosh. I feel for Aaron in this, going through this chapter. I really feel for him. He really was, pressure on all sides. It's like he was in a pressure cooker. Then Aaron answered Moses, Today my sons presented both their sin offering and their burnt offering to the Lord. It's like he's saying, oh gosh, Ole, we trying. And I lost my sons today. Oh gosh, man, have a little mercy now. And yet, this tragedy has happened to me. Nobody has comforted me. And I think he would probably wanted to say, yeah, and that includes the Most High, God himself. But he couldn't say that because fire would have really blazed or he would have gotten a good hot slap across his mouth, right? So, and yet this tragedy has happened to me. If I had eaten the people's sin offering on such a tragic day as this, notice he mentioned tragedy, tragic twice, right? So you understand this man, as we say in Trinidad, his heart was hot in him. He was hurting big time, right? If I had eaten the people's sin offering on such a tragic day as this, would the Lord have been pleased? Right? So in other words, he's saying, Moses, oh gosh, man, give me a little ease up here. I'm trying. And to be honest, is real pressure under here, partner. And then verse 20 says, when Moses heard this, he was satisfied. Right? When Moses heard this, he was satisfied. Now I have to admit, I don't understand the logic of the explanation. I guess he's saying, if I had I don't know why the goat offering was not supposed to be burnt up. I guess maybe they were supposed to eat it. Maybe the priests were supposed to have a portion of that. And so Moses is thinking, my word, by the time we done here today, we will not have a priesthood. The way this thing going, all the priests going and get burned up with flambeau, coming straight from the glory of God, right? So I think Moses getting a little concerned, like if we have no priesthood, how in goodness name are we going to enter God's presence, right? But I think Aaron's logic was, if we had eaten the sacrifice when God was so angry and so vexed, I think that would have been sacrilegious. I think that's what maybe Aaron is saying. So let me write this out real quick. Don't have much time. Then Aaron answered Moses, and you could probably imagine that Aaron probably gave Moses a little attitude with that, right? You could sense a little attitude, a little pepper, a little sting in that response from Aaron, right? Today, my sons, oh gosh, poor guy. Could you imagine that? My word, no parent wants to have to bury their kids. And Aaron didn't even get to bury his kids. They were taken out by his cousins, right? So he didn't even get to bury his kids when you think about it. Okay. Then Aaron answered Moses, Today my sons presented both their sin offering. Let's get a little scrappy here. And their burnt offering to the Lord. Offering. I guess he's saying, oh gosh, man, I lost two sons already. I can't go easy on the the only two I have left. I lost half of my sons. Can we go easy on the ones who remain? I think that's maybe what Aaron was saying. If I'm not reading this right, and you know that I'm not getting this right, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And yet this tragedy has happened, and yet this tragedy has happened to me. Funny, he didn't say it happened to his sons. He said it happened to me. So I don't know, what's Aaron even thinking about his sons? Kind of wonder about that. But he said it happened to me. He said, I under real pressure here. That's really what Aaron is saying. He said, I'm grieving. My heart is broken. I mean, I am inconsolable and I can't even express it because of all the religious drama involved here, right? All the I don't want to say religious, but all the ritualistic drama that's involved here, right? If I had eaten, if I had eaten the people's sin offering, the people's sin offering on such a tragic day, on such a tragic day as this, would the Lord have been pleased? Would the Lord have been pleased? Question mark. And I guess, to be honest, you could kind of understand how everybody's feeling, right? Because they just had this is on the back of the ordination ceremony that was so successful, and finally they were able to stand in the presence of the Lord, and they were so happy, so effusive. And then next thing you know, before you look twice, before you look left and right, and just once, before you blink, 2 people get taken out by fire. I mean, can you imagine what a plummet that they were on such a high, and then to have this happen, it was like they were deep down in the valley by this point, right? So you can understand how this kind of roller coaster of responses from God, and the roller coaster of we want to get close to God, we playing the fool, God punishing us, God setting things up, we getting things wrong. I mean, it was just, I think people were really just traumatized, to be honest. I kind of wonder what it was like for the kids, because there would have been kids in the midst of all of this. There would have been kids. So I kind of wonder, okay, so let me put the last line in now. Verse 20. And truly, what was it like for the kids? Ever wondered about that? The kids and the teenagers seeing all of this drama. And truly, at the end of the day, what God wanted was for people to be close to Him. He's always wanted people to be close to Him, but He needs us to understand that He's a holy God. And we can't interact with Him. I mean, when we interact with Him, of course, we can be ourselves, but we can't, he likes things done in a particular way. And I mean, obviously, with the crucifixion of Christ, His descent into hell, His ascension to the throne and the right hand of the Father, obviously things are not as ritualistic. That's why when Jesus sat on the throne, when He rose from the dead, the veil in the temple was torn, because God's saying, hey, there's no separation. Don't worry about all these rituals. That's not what I was after in the first place. I just want you to come into my presence, but still come carefully. Still have a sense of, don't get too familiar. Don't feel we pitch marbles before time began, right? You weren't around when time began. You weren't around before time began. We didn't pitch marbles. I'm still your daddy. And yes, I'm the daddy who can be your friend. But just remember, I'm not a tame lion, right? So that's it. That's Leviticus chapter 10. I didn't think this was going to take this long, but this is Leviticus chapter 10. This year I'm doing, among other things, but I'm doing the Pentateuch. I'm doing the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible. I started off by skipping Genesis. I went straight to Exodus. I'm not done Exodus. Exodus is going to take me the whole year because I'm doing it together with some YouTube videos. And Leviticus, I'm hoping I can finish by the end of March. To be honest, it's not too long. It's not too long of a book. I don't think it has, I'll tell you, Leviticus has, let me see, I have it at the start of, Leviticus has 34 chapters. No. Leviticus has 27 chapters. Leviticus just has 27 chapters. So I should be able to finish by the end of March if I keep my foot on the gas, if I keep the pedal to the metal, and well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. This was my invitation for folks to join with me in Bible noodling and doodling, and also an invitation for you to enjoy seeing, hearing my thought process, how I process the word. And of course, at the end of the day, what I ultimately would want to glean from this is a personal application. I have to admit, I wasn't thinking too deeply about that as I was going through, but in other parts and portions of Leviticus, I have seen personal applications where I'm like, yeah, God, yeah, I can see how this applies to me, or where I felt like God was telling me something specific. And in the case of this particular chapter 10, I guess, if I'm gonna look at what the takeaway might be here, it might be make sure you're not presumptuous about spiritual things. Sometimes people are presumptuous, Sometimes, for example, you see churches where they do things where they might isolate some aspect of scripture and start turning it into a ritual, but eventually it just turns into something that's closer to witchcraft, And, it's so important not to be presumptuous. Like, do things the way God wants, and also in the spirit that He wants them done. Like, it's not just about the letter of the law, it's the spirit of the law. So I think that's it. I hope this was fun for you. And yeah, this is how I do Bible study a lot of times. And I'm really enjoying Bible doodling. I'm really enjoying Bible noodling. Glad that thanks to a gentle nudge from the Holy Spirit about a little over a year ago, I'm really glad that I've been able to bridge noodling with doodling, and also with some poetry penning in between. I didn't write any poetry today because it would have just taken too long. Maybe in another time when I'm studying a different book, I might maybe do something where you see how I put a poem together, and you can see that in real time. But it's a car passing by. Anyway, that's it. I hope you have a lovely Sunday, a lovely week, and well, until the next time.